I am Dr. T.D. Yadav, Professor of Surgical Gastroenterology, PGI, Chandigarh. So to start with, I have to discuss on management of gallbladder cancer, how we go about it. And just to start, tell that we don't have any conflict of interest. So just to start with the incidence of gallbladder cancer. What is the difference of the incidence in different zones of India? And then what is the management protocol? Because India is a country where the gallbladder cancer divides India into two different zones, south and east and west. So obviously the incidence of gallbladder cancer is much less in South India and in the West India, but it is very common disease in cancer in East India and North India where we are working. And initially it was supposed that it is Ganges belt where it is much more common, but it has been found that in Punjab and Haryana and Himachal, which is not a Ganges belt, the incidence is equally prevalent. So this is the Indian scenario. And in North India, now we say that in a surgical obstructive jaundice, the commonest cause of is gallbladder cancer in our center. So this is very, very important. And Lucknow, Sanjay Gandhi, PGI, All India Institute and GB Pant, all the big centers working in this area, we have commonest cause of gallbladder surgical obstructive jaundice today is a gallbladder cancer. So what is the reason for this? So reason till date could not be identified. There were multiple epidemiological studies done from Bihar, BHU, and Sanjay Gandhi PGI, but exact cause had not been able to be established. So this is what is the this thing. But association of stone disease is obviously common. So most important thing in the management of gallbladder cancer is one should have an index of suspicion. Then only one could diagnose an appropriate timing, and probably surgery can be done because the early diagnosis is possible. Then only appropriate management can be done. Otherwise, it's a very, very aggressive disease, and it's very difficult to have a curative intent surgery in these patients. Most of our patients, they come to us, they are already metastatic disease, and most of the curative protocol we are not able to follow. Then when to suspect? So there are different areas when radiologists can suspect. Suppose a patient who has come to with the pain abdomen on the right side, upper abdomen, and ultrasonologist does an ultrasound. So it's a common tendency to say that this is a sludge. So one has to be very, very careful when especially in North India. What is this sludge? Is it really sludge or it is a mass lesion which may be very early and maybe lucky patient where it can be diagnosed? So it can be a mass lesion, a sludge can be an early mass lesion, then thickening of the gallbladder wall. So normal thickening is about 3 millimeter of the gallbladder wall. But if it is more than 4 millimeter, and then when it is a focal thickening, means there is no, a particular area is only thickened, not the all area. If there is irregular thickening is not symmetrical, and if it is more than 4 millimeter, most of the literature say, but we will go into details of thickening, then one should start suspecting gallbladder cancer. You could see here in our institute where it is very, very common. Our friends in a radiology department, when they found a lesion like this here, this is sludge, they will immediately put a color Doppler and try to see whether there is a vessel going through this sludge or not. And if there is no vessel going, then they will suspect that it might be a sludge. But provided all other like focal thickening, irregular thickening, and a polyp associated mass lesion, if all these things are not present, only a sludge is suspicion, and there is no vessel inside the sludge, then most probably it might be sludge. But obviously, history taking is also very important. What is the only pain, or there is associated some sort of appetite loss or loss of weight? So these are very, very important things in a management of gallbladder cancer. Otherwise, what happens that the person goes with the pain abdomen in the periphery, and the ultrasonologist says there is a stone disease and there is a sludge. Then immediately the surgeon goes and does a cholecystectomy. And if it comes to be gallbladder cancer, all the chances of the cure is immediately there is taken care, and there is no chance of cure because the protocol of the gallbladder cancer is broken and disease spreads very fast. So one has to be very, very careful. So what to do when gallbladder radiologist suspects something? Clinical physician and a radiologist, mind has to be prepared for the gallbladder cancer management. Then only it can be diagnosed at appropriate time. So what should he do, or what should we do when we are suspecting gallbladder cancer? So immediately, more aggressive investigation is required. That includes contrast enhanced CT scan, the next one. We go to the nowadays contrast enhanced ultrasound also, provided it is available. Like here it is a thickening in the gallbladder wall. It is more than 4 millimeter, and we do a contrast enhanced ultrasound. Obviously, contrast is not available at multiple places, but it shows there is a enhancement, which is a very strong suspicious of gallbladder cancer. But we should not be stopping here. We should go one step further, because the aim is that the cancer is so aggressive that we should be doing the cancer which is localized. So we should not be doing more and we should not be doing less. So one has to have a very appropriate path to manage the gallbladder cancer. And that is only possible when one has to be very, very careful. So I was talking about thickening of the gallbladder. So what is average gallbladder? This is our study which has been published recently. So we found that if I am talking about isometric thickening, means gallbladder wall is thickened throughout, not that focal or irregular thickening. So if thickening was in the range of 8.5 millimeter, then the new entity, which is IgG4 related polycystitis, also coming into the picture. Xanthogranulomatous average thickening we found 6.6 millimeter, chronic polycystitis 5.74. But if the thickening was in the tune of 9 millimeter to 10 millimeter, then chances of gallbladder cancer has been very, very high. So it is also important to look into the thickening which is isometric, which is looking regular, because in our country, this is also xanthogranulomatous polycystitis is also very, very important differential diagnosis. IgG4 for the practical we must know, because nowadays we are seeing more and more patients. But these both entities, it's a very difficult to differentiate from gallbladder cancer. So what is our aim? As I started in the beginning. So our aim is R0 resection with acceptable mortality and morbidity. How is it possible? Is it possible only by appropriate investigation at appropriate time? So if time is gone, you might not be able to operate the gallbladder cancer. We have to have a middle path. We cannot be supra aggressive in this disease, because the disease is very, very aggressive, and if you breach the protocol, the chances of recurrence is very high. So though it is true for all other diseases, the selection of appropriate patient and procedure is most important when we are managing gallbladder cancer. And outcome also depends upon the selection of the appropriate patient. So if you don't select properly, we are going to do more damage than the benefit. So our basic aim of surgical protocol, primum non nocere, is defeated if we are not mentally prepared for a appropriate management. What is our goal? Our goal is R0 resection, as I said in the beginning. So how we go about that? So if there is a suspected pain in the right upper abdomen and patient has no other symptom, which is very common, pain is the commonest symptom. Usually weight loss and loss of appetite, anorexia, jaundice, recurrent vomiting, postprandial fullness, distension of the abdomen, all these are delayed presentation, and nothing may be possible. So ultrasound is first one. Then we go for a contrast enhanced CT scan. Based upon the CT scan finding, we go one step further, though this is again PET scan is not followed by each and every center. This can be controversial, but we in PGI follow PET scan, and I will show you how it has benefited us in selecting our patient. And then it is must to do a staging laparoscopy. So once this tumor is resectable, we go one step further to do a staging laparoscopy. As I said in the beginning, we have to have not a penny more, not a penny less. So we have to have very appropriate selection. So we should not overtreat and we should not be undertreating. Then only we can manage gallbladder cancer. Proper history taking and clinical examination is of utmost importance, as I said in the beginning. Why it is important? Because the ultrasound history taking is also important, because based on that we decide our investigation. So ultrasound examination, if you find thick wall gallbladder, as I said about the thickening, stone with a sludge or mass lesion, stone with a polyp which is more than 1 centimeter, if there is a focal thickening, if there is a pseudotype, this is also terminology used by radiologists very frequently in the periphery, pseudotumor-like presentation, if there is an irregular thickening in gallbladder on the ultrasound, and then if there is a gallstone disease and surgical obstructive jaundice, but there is no stone in the common bile duct. This is a very strong predictor of gallbladder cancer. If there is a gallbladder stone disease, but there is no CBD stone, but patient present with surgical obstructive jaundice. On the top of that, if you get that patient is having some sort of loss of appetite, feeling tiredness, easy fatigability, all these will just add to our diagnosis making in the initial presentation. So all these points are very, very important and should be looked into very, very carefully. Not that we are not saying this just to say, but it has to be seen with very, very carefully. And then ultrasound, as I said, showed in the beginning, that when there is an ultrasound thick wall gallbladder and we find a lesion like this, and one added color Doppler, one found a vessel going through it, 90% is it a gallbladder cancer, even more than 90%. So one should not be going and doing a polycystectomy in this patient. Then comes the gold standard. Gold standard is contrast enhanced CT scan of the abdomen. We include, everybody nowadays includes chest and pelvis also. Chest and pelvis is included just to exclude any metastasis at the time of presentation. So this type of different presentation could be there. One can have a mass lesion like this here. This is a irregular thickening. You can see the gallbladder. This is focal irregular thickening in the gallbladder. Here is a focal thickening on both the sides. This is very strong suggestion of the gallbladder cancer. And then this is a huge gallbladder cancer with surgical obstructive jaundice. This is a mass lesion. Then we have to see, go into this area also, see for the lymph nodes in this area, aortochole group of lymph nodes, peripancreatic, like in this patient, there is a lymph node here also. So if we find a lymph node here, huge lymph node, is it a sign of irresectability? One has to go and prove that this is positive and should not be doing anything. In this patient, there is a thickening of the gallbladder, but one could see that there is a irregular area behind the portal vein in that area. So it means there is a huge lymph node. So peripancreatic group of lymph node. So very careful CT examination where one has to see the vascular anatomy, nodal status, and try to see the spread also in the pelvis, peritoneal thickening, irregularity in the peritoneum, ascites, and nodal status at different stations. And these are very, very important. Apart from looking at the gallbladder and liver, these structures are very important to be seen. And one should know what is the nodal drainage of the gallbladder cancer, which lymph nodes are decide that person is irresectable. So as I was talking about, this is a case presentation of the patient. No history of mild pain in the abdomen, only mild pain in the right hypochondrium, no history of fever, no history of loss of appetite and weight, but has a cholelithiasis. Ultrasonologist says probably there is something fishy, but since this area gallbladder cancer is being managed too much, so you could see here, this area there is no thickening, but in the fundus there is a thickening and there is no plane between the fundus of the gallbladder and the liver area. So fatty plane is lost. This is 99% gallbladder cancer, except that only Giantho can be in the differential diagnosis, nothing else. So this particular patient, very lucky patient, will present like this, and you could see that this area is clear, this area is clear. So it means it might be a resectable gallbladder cancer. So it's very important. Then second tendency to the radiologist is that proved by FNA, and immediately the clinician writes FNAC, which is again not acceptable. So in a resectable gallbladder cancer, no needling should be done because it makes your possibly resectable or curative gallbladder cancer into non-curative gallbladder cancer. So here our advice is no to FNAC in a resectable gallbladder cancer. Then, as I said, we go one step ahead. We do a FDG PET scan. The FDG PET scan is done to exclude the metastasis which is not present on gallbladder cancer. And 2-3 areas which has been found very important. One is that omental metastasis, peritoneal dissemination, and the supraclavicular group of lymph nodes, and aortocal group of lymph nodes. These are the areas where the FDG PET has been found to be very superior to the CT scan. So it is very, very important for us to do it. Like here is the patient. This patient is CT resectable gallbladder cancer. So one could say resectable disease, but you could see that bony uptake is there, spine, and multiple bony uptake in the chest, and this patient was metastatic disease. So immediately nowadays we would go ahead for a chemotherapy rather than wasting time in taking the patient for the surgery. So people might have an argument that why you should be doing in every patient. So we will tell how it has helped. So this is our data upon 55 patients, and just this is a very crowded slide. So I don't want to everybody to know everything, but you could see that FNA proven extra-abdominal metastasis was 13 patients. This is extra-abdominal metastasis, not in the abdomen, which was not present on CT scan. That included supraclavicular lymph node, lung metastasis, orbit metastasis, and left upper cervical lymph metastasis. This makes this particular disease not resectable. So it's very, very important. There were 25 lung mets, but these could not be proven by the FNA. But here is the numbers which are proven by FNA. As I am saying that our aim is not to do overtreat and not undertreat. So that's why it's very, very important to do this. And this is our overall. That slide was for the extra-abdominal mets. In a resectable gallbladder cancer of the 106 patients, we found 63% resectable on 50 PET scan. So PET scan has been able to UPC resected 47%, and PET scan has been able to avoid the unnecessary exploration in about 30% of the patient when we included staging laparoscopy also. So it's very, very important that irrespective of the stage of disease we are finding, even for the incidental gallbladder cancer, we are going for the gallbladder cancer for the PET scan. And there are reports also. So then comes when CT has been done, it is resectable, PET scan is showing resectable, then staging laparoscopy before opening the abdomen. It's not, I cannot say it's criminal, but it's not good to open the gallbladder cancer without doing stage. This is again FDG PET and CT scan resectable disease where you found so many metastases. So peritoneal surface mets deposits, inaccessible areas. And if you go one step ahead, GB Pant has published, and try to do Cockridge and see the aortocaval group of lymph nodes, then probably your chance of excluding more patients will be increased. There are reports that if you add and laparoscopic ultrasound, then again the chances of avoiding unnecessary laparotomy will be increased. So here is our aim is that we should not be doing a single patient which is harboring unresectable disease which is not found on ultrasound and on CT and PET scan. So this is very, very important. 60% of non-therapeutic laparotomy have been avoided by PET and staging laparoscopy. So this is very, very important. These two armamentarium, these two arms of this, our whole armamentarium is very, very important in the management of gallbladder cancer. Though, as I said, there may be many which will not accept. So another patient, this patient is again received everything, and we did a portal vein embolization, and then we planned for surgery. But so much of resource wastage. The moment we put a laparoscope, it was found to be here is a metastasis. So all these areas were full of metastasis. So after diagnosis, there are 4 components of gallbladder cancer which will be ready for the surgery. One will be straightforward case, means resectable gallbladder cancer, disease limited to gallbladder cancer, maybe some lymph nodes here and there. Then there would be locally advanced. I will define what are they. Then there would be a patient who will be presented with the surgical obstructive jaundice, and then there would be patient where other organs other than locally advanced organs are involved. So there are 4 group of patients. So I will go one by one. So what we do for a straightforward case? A straightforward case, extended cholecystectomy means taking either segment 3, segment 4B and segment 5 resection with standard lymphadenectomy. I will describe in the coming slides what is this. And Wedge resection also. There are reports of only taking wedge resection, miscellaneous segmental resection. There is no much difference, but provided you are having a R0. Adding hepatic duct resection based upon the margin of the cystic duct or the type of tumor or the location of the tumor is a standard operation for a resectable gallbladder cancer. So what are the lymph nodes we are going to take? I thank my registrar for sketching this. So these are the group of lymph nodes we resect. So here is the round ligament. So you dissect here, go like this, and here is the this is segment 5, this is segment 4B. These are the lymph nodes, Hyler group of lymph nodes, cystic lymph nodes, pericholedochal lymph node, pericholedochal, periportal. This is the lymph node around the hepatic artery. There are in between these spaces also there are lymph nodes. Here is the lymph node. So this is the celiac axis lymph node, right side. This is the left side. So left of the celiac lymph node is a irresectable disease. Then you just do a catheterization, reverse it, you will find this peripancreatic group of lymph node. So SMA is again not in a resectable criteria. Aortocaval, both the two are not resectable. It comes into metastatic disease. Right side of celiac is resectable, but left of the celiac here, it is not resectable disease. So this is the lymph node resection, and this slide has been sketched by our registrar, which was Raj Sekhar, which is at this time is a neurosurgeon. What is our steps are taken? How to start lymph nodal dissection? When we enter the abdomen after doing all this, catheterize, and this is aorta, this is IVC. So, and here is the left hepatic vein. So this is the triangle area where one has to go, and from here I'll take the lymph nodes. There are two steps: lymph node sampling and lymph node biopsy. So we try to sample, and any doubtful lymph node we send for frozen. If there is no doubt, only sampling is taken, otherwise frozen. And if frozen comes positive, one has to stop here. No use of proceeding for surgery. But recently we have done something I will discuss later. So if negative, then only proceed. So what is our aim to achieve? So these are the multiple group of lymph nodes. All the tissue, perivascular tissue, fibrofatty tissue has to be dissected. So this is portal vein, this is common bile duct, this is the cystic duct, here you go, this is gallbladder, this is the left hepatic artery, right hepatic artery, portal vein behind, and it has to be denuded of all fibrofatty tissue. So behind the portal vein nothing should be there, anteriorly nothing should be there. So these are the right hepatic artery, left hepatic artery. So sometimes you found in a middle hepatic artery. Up to this area, it has to be denuded of all fibrofatty tissue. And this is our nodal, our data of nodal involvement. This paper we have sent for the publication, not yet published. So you could see that the commonest group of lymph node which we found were peripancreatic group of lymph node involved. So this is very important to go and do dissect the lymph nodes all around. And lymph nodes are the most important predictor of long-term survival. So nowadays, number of the lymph nodes people talk about, but even the ratio of the lymph nodes, means lymph node dissected vis-a-vis involved lymph node, are the important predictor of the survival. So coming to the liver resection. So what is the controversy? It is wedge vis-a-vis anatomical. So I will just try to show no difference except that anatomical has lesser bile leak. Theoretically, if you think about net dissection, but net dissection need anatomical. If there is a lesion in the neck, or if there is cystic duct margin is positive. Why anatomical? I am saying because of the simple reason. I will show in one of the sketch I have made. Why we should do it. So routine we are following almost every time, except incidental gallbladder cancer. Anatomical resection means here you come to the ligament, round ligament, and ligate all the vessels going from left to the right to the segment 4B, and then going to the porta dissecting and trying to find out the vessels providing segment 4, segment 5. This is the sketch. So what is the blood drainage of the gallbladder? So from this area, from body and fundus, it is going to mostly to the segment 5. But from the neck and heart vein area from the gallbladder, it follows this path, going towards the left side, segment 4B. So if the lesion is in this area, it's logical, and Professor Miyazaki has shown, it's logical to do a gallbladder segmental resection rather than going for 2 centimeter wedge. And another important point, one has to, when you are going in the depth, you have to maintain the distance of gallbladder, and the thickness of the liver should not be narrowed down. Otherwise, margin might be pushed. So this plane has to be maintained. This is also very, very equally important, that when you are going in the depth, you should not be going closer and closer to the gallbladder so that margin gets compromised. So this is the way we send the sample, gallbladder with the liver wedge, and then all the lymphatics which have been dissected, they go for the biopsy, and our biopsy, our pathologist religiously they will send the report. So what is adjacent organ resection? If duodenum is involved, so initially it was thought that duodenum involvement only SPD is the treatment of choice, but it's not. Sleeve or segmental resection can be done. Supraampullary resection we have done. With the gastric resection we have done. So sleeve resection can be done. Only problem I will tell later. Then hepatopancreatic duodenectomy. If duodenum is involved in circumferentially, then probably SPD is the treatment of choice. Very rarely we get a patient for this appropriate for this particular disease. By this time, patients have irresectable disease. If stomach is involved, extended cholecystectomy plus distal gastrectomy. Colon is involved, segmental resection of the colon or right hemicolectomy, and SPD, as I said, hepatopancreatic star mark has been put because most of the patients they are not fit for this surgery, or if you are doing it, usually they are so advanced that they will come with the resection. So here is a case capsule. This is the young lady, 62, 3 years lady, which came to us with the pain abdomen and loss of appetite and weight. You could see the irregular thickening and mass in the gallbladder. So cholelithiasis, focal illular thickening, and soft tissue mass in the gallbladder with very minimum surgical obstructive jaundice. There was no regional or distant metastasis and lymphadenectomy seen on the CT scan. We did a PET scan, and PET scan also findings were resectable. So when we opened, we found that staging laparoscopy, no mets, laparotomy assessment finding confirmed, noted. Second opinion taken. What was the important? No vertical group and celiac lymph node, no dissemination. But there was a lymph node here, very densely adhered to the pancreas, and the colon was adhered to the gallbladder. So this is very important. Sometimes we dissect from here, you go down and we find that the tumor is not resectable. So sometimes it is irreversible step, but that risk one has to take. So we decided by talking to the anesthetists and talking to our friends that we are going for hepatopancreatic duodenectomy and right hemicolectomy. So we did this procedure. Two of our colleagues we did it. One person completed and one part, then one took rest and about 8 hours. And this was the histopathology was very favorable. And this lady had one year I followed. After this, she's not coming for the follow-up. So I'm not responding also. So I don't know what has happened. So that's why in the beginning I said, gallbladder cancer with duodenal involvement. This is a very tricky area because it's very difficult to assess the hepatoduodenal ligament. And sometimes if you resect the duodenum and go down, you find that there is so much of nodal disease that it's not resectable. So you start blaming yourself, why I resected the duodenum. But as I said in the beginning, this particular risk one has to take really to get the R0 resection. So this is the problem in the duodenum, and this patient duodenum involvement was there. We resected sleeve of the duodenum, and then later we found that cavity resection still could be achieved. So this is the hepatic artery, this is the portal vein, and the common bile duct has already been resected. So as I said, gallbladder cancer is a disease very unique, and so many things we do. And here is the anastomosis. So biliary enteric anastomosis, single anastomosis was done, single layer anastomosis. The most difficult subject has come now, gallbladder cancer with the jaundice. In spite of all our effort, we had not been able to find a proper solution for this problem. And resectability rate is less than 10% in spite of all our effort. So usually what is happening, patient is coming with obstruction, jaundice in patient gallbladder cancer is generally viewed as irresectable. That is also not true. So we have to find further evidence of the metastasis. It is sure that these are the gallbladder cancer with surgical obstructive jaundice, they are having advanced disease. There is no doubt about that. So one has to be very, very careful. So what is our concern? Our concern is gallbladder cancer. Extended liver resection is usually required. So what is our concern? Liver failure because of the cholestasis. So option is preoperative biliary drainage endoscopic or percutaneous, depending upon the center and depending upon the expertise, and then preoperative portal vein embolization to take care of the diseased liver. All these things, by the time we are able to complete, the patient becomes most of the time irresectable. So this is a severe gallbladder obstructive jaundice, and one has to go for a differentiate for hyelocholangiosarcoma. So how to differentiate? So one has to see when there is a gallstone associated, then probably it is a gallbladder cancer. Then right side more involved, usually maybe gallbladder cancer. Then one common hepatic duct involvement is more common is gallbladder cancer. However, these are the only the pointers to our suggestion. Sometimes it may not be possible to differentiate. So what is our this thing routine is PTPD at our center. Sometimes bilateral PTPD is required. Then we bring down to serum bilirubin less than 3%. Then we do a PTPD gram to see what is the extent of the spread of the tumor inside the common bile duct. Then resect. So nowadays we are going for segment 4B and 5 resection if possible, bilateral biliary entry drainage. This is very important. So ideal operation in a obstructive jaundice, if you talk to all the surgeons operating, they will say right trisegmentectomy. But somehow we are not able to do that because by the time you reach to that area time, our patient become irresectable. So very rarely favorable tumor can have that. Rarely we have done it, right trisect. So what is our aim? Nowadays we are trying to modify by preserving the 4A so that we have more liver preserved, and segment 4B and 5 resection with bilateral anastomosis, if possible. So again, there are some patient case capsule where you see the segment, very small segment 3 in a patient with this thing, 2-3, portal vein embolization done, liver has increased significantly with the time. So usually 53 weeks takes for the liver to enlarge, and one has to go for a selective, super selective also, because if you don't block the segment 4B vessels, then again segment 4B also enlarges, segment 4 also enlarges, and it takes some part of the this thing, enlargement of the segment 2-3 off, and that may not be good for our future. So in this patient only right portal vein was embolized, but we try to talk to our friends to embolize the portal segment 4 also, and then you could see the significant increase in the size of the segment 2 and 3, and this patient was resected, and the trisect was done with the resection of the segment 1. Segment 1 resection with trisect. So this is segment 2 and 3, and biliary enteric anastomosis has been done. So this is the patient with right trisect. You could see the segment 2 and 3. So as I said, we have modified a little bit to increase our resectability and try to find the R0 resection. So here is a patient segment 4B and 5 resection with hepatic duct resection, and we could do a double anastomosis. So this is the two left and right duct, and we did a double anastomosis. So segment put a drain, and this is also R0 resection could be achieved. Rest of the protocol are same. So by changing this, so if you see surgical procedures, our resection rate was very limited, 6%. But when you change the protocol, our resection rate has gone to 14 to 15% now. Maybe because of the 4B and 5 resection, but there may be debate about the choice of this procedure. So a few lines about NSCRT in locally advanced gallbladder cancer. What is locally advanced? We have decided 3 organs involved: common bile duct, liver is already, either duodenum or colon. Then we think that more than 3 organs are involved. We take it as a locally advanced gallbladder cancer, and nowadays we are, and then extensive nodal disease. Then we are going for neoadjuvant therapy nowadays, and then by doing FNA proving it. So here is a case: 55 years female, upper abdominal pain, no jaundice fever, no pallor, and our imaging suggested that this was a locally advanced gallbladder cancer. So FDG avid lesion, segment 4B fossa 9 into 6 centimeter, almost 7 centimeter, with the extension into segment 4B, 5 and 6 and segment 8. So it was a very extensive disease. SUV max of 30, FDG avid abdominal nodes in the periportal para-aortic aortocaval bilateral. Okay. So this was the imaging. So this patient was practically looking not resectable, except that he had no clear-cut metastasis. So we did a staging laparoscopy just to decide whether we are dealing with the metastatic disease or we are dealing with the still with the some hope of resection. We do as a protocol if possible. So before starting neoadjuvant therapy, so we found that no liver metastasis, no ascites, no peritoneal nodules, large gallbladder mass with infiltration into segment 4B and 5, omental, densely adhered. Segment 6 we did not try to assess also, and omental there was a nodule. We take it biopsy, no malignancy. Peritoneal washing was also done, no malignant cells. So as I said in the beginning also, no over treatment, no under treatment. Plan for neoadjuvant therapy, we give GEMOX, is our protocol. So 2 weekly, 4 cycles. Then we did a PET scan. I will show the PET scan. And PET scan showed that there were no disease at all. So staging laparoscopy followed by extended cholecystectomy, segment 4 plus segment 6 resection. So it is one resection has to be added. And the reason for the segment 6 resection was tumor was previously involving the segment 6. So we did it. So here is the huge tumor you could see here, 11.8 centimeter, pre-chemotherapy, and all other, here are the lymph nodes. So this patient post-chemotherapy, we are not finding any uptake anywhere. And this is the resection, segment 6, 5, 4B, and we are not finding any tumor here. So biopsy report came, and it was that there is no tumor. So this is the median survival. So this is the final HPR. No residual tumor, therapy-related changes, resection margin free, cystic duct free, porta free, portal vein lymph node free of tumor, periportal free of tumor, 4 lymph nodes, common hepatic artery, 2 lymph nodes free of tumor, proper hepatic artery, 4 lymph nodes free of tumor, left hepatic artery, we did a fibrohepatic tissue, but there our pathologist said no lymph node, and accessory hepatic artery was there. There is free of tumor, no lymph node, but fibrohepatic tissue. So these were the final HPR. Friends and colleagues, to conclude, at the end, curative resection is the only chance of cure for the gallbladder cancer. But the patient selection should be very carefully done. So one should try not to do over-treat, one should try not to under-treat also. Whole world has found that lymph node involvement is the most important predictor of the survival. Today we talk about number of the lymph nodes. Adjacent organ resection cannot be a criteria for the irresectability. So with appropriate patient selection, adjacent organ resection could be done. Neoadjuvant therapy, which is coming in a big way, there are multiple reports. This is not my today's talk, but neoadjuvant therapy seems to downstage the tumor and gives us time to assess the tumor biology, and in the future may probably increase the resectability rate. So this is very, very important thing coming into the picture in a gallbladder cancer. With the permission of the people who are organized this, I just want to convey to the people that 18th Annual Congress of the Indian Chapter of IHBBA is on 11 to 13 February 2022, and it is organized by us, PGI MER Chandigarh, and this is our website. So kindly register, and thank you all.